So this is our second neighborhood meeting. I don't know how many of you guys made it out to the first one. But again, thank you for coming out. I'm just gonna give just a brief reintroduction of the project. Um, this project, as we said last time, this kind of stemmed off of the master stormwater plan that was implemented a couple of years ago. Through that master plan, it was identified that the London Waterway, as you know, it's a long canal, and it's in need of additional capacity to really create a good flood storage and flood capacity. So this is one of the projects that kind of stemmed off of that need that was identified a few years ago. The city owned a bunch of parcels over in this area here. There were some little off parcels here and there that we were able to acquire just to be able to make this happen. And right now we are probably about 75% through the plan process. We have submitted for permits through the Water Management District. And we have also submitted some grant applications to help us make this possible. And so like I mentioned, this is primarily a flood capacity, flood storage, additional flood storage for this London Waterway. It's going to also provide additional stormwater treatment to remove pollutants that you'll get from pesticides or herbicides or whatever else everybody sprays on their yards. So this will help that as well with the water quality. It's going to expand the wildlife habitat within the area, and it's also going to provide a passive park opportunity. Last time we met, there was some conversation with y'all, and we heard some comments and some of the stuff that you liked, some stuff that you didn't like. So we incorporated a lot of that. We also met in-house with staff, other departments, like the Parks and Recreation Department. They had their input as well, because ultimately they're going to be maintaining this. So we've tweaked it a little. From the initial concept, I think if you guys remember from last time, there was 4 of those outlooks with boardwalks. So now that has been reduced to 2. You guys see the cursor when I move here or no?
So where are the 2 located on the map, since we still have 4 from last time?
Yeah, I'll show them. I thought the cursor would be visible here, but it isn't. So I'll see if I can reach up there. I'm not too tall. Here is one up here, right? And just, yeah, so for reference, this is London, right? North is that way. The canal is over there on the top side of this sheet. There is, you see the canals that wraps around. That's Lever here. So it's going to be one off of Lever on this side, and then the other one's also off of Lever, but over on the opposite. Yeah, the boardwalks were removed. If you recall, there were boardwalks. I kind of wrapped all the way around. They came a little close to the properties. Those are no longer part of the plan.
So what is going to, if there's going to be a park, then what, because it's been pertained to me 2 years ago, that it was going to be a water park for the neighborhood. So my questioning on this, okay, even though it's a sewage runoff, okay, where is the park going to, what, it's just going to be water? If you're taking away the sidewalks, then what does this actually become? It's not really a park. I mean, people can't walk their dog, can't go around, or are you moving it inward and taking away from all the water that's going to be put in?
Yes.
Excuse me, can I ask to maybe hold questions and let these guys come and go through their presentation? It may answer some of your questions.
Yeah,
just in your presentation.
We'll be glad to get to the questions, yeah. But if we just go through the presentation, then we'll address everybody, everybody at once. But so let's just table that for now. Let's see, what are some of the other changes? This slide here, it's more depiction for engineering purposes, but All right, so just one other note, because I was asked this question earlier before the meeting started. The overall nature of how water runs through here, right? So as I mentioned, that up top is the canal, right? So the overall nature of the movement of water is from that direction this way, and it comes out. So as the canal fills up during large storm events, some of that water is going to be able to come in through here via pipes, and then it'll come out through here, kind of towards US 1, but it'll turn back into the canal, just at the other end.
So the only entrances will be through the boardwalks?
Yes, the only entrances for this water park will be through the boardwalk.
All right, so for anybody, everything else will be closed.
Well, for everything else will be closed. Well, I mean, you would have to go through somebody's property if
Okay.
you know, because people are backing up to it. So that was one of the concerns that parks did have. That they didn't want a lot of either traffic or
Right.
maybe pedestrian traffic to be moving through there, and that was one of the main concerns of having the boardwalks so close to properties. And it's kind of the reason why that got nixed out. But we'll get a little more in depth in that one later on. I honestly don't have a whole lot more to add. That's just kind of the big picture of it. John, if you wanted to just say a couple of other things, maybe something that I may have missed. And then we'll get to the questions. We promise we'll get to the questions. Go on, John.
So how do I do this thing? I go this way? There we go. Okay. All right, so I'll probably restate some of what Carmelo just said. The primary purpose for this project is flood control. So the property that the city owns there is 19.5 acres, and 11 of those acres will end up being surface water, you know, when the project's done. So that's where the flood volume is going to go. It's actually going to be able to hold 61 acre feet of storage for, you know, a 100-year event. So it's a significant improvement. The flooding concerns for the north part of the city are great. There's, you know, there's flooding, you know, miles to the east of here that's connected to this same canal. So this system is really kind of a regional system. It's also going to improve water quality significantly because there's a sizable permanent pool of water there, and that's really where the treatment happens. So the stormwater is going to run through the lake and be treated as it sits in that lake for a period of time, and then it slowly gets distributed out, the outflow. We did a calculation of kind of estimating how much the water quality improvement would amount to, and we estimate on an annual basis 884 pounds of nitrogen to be removed and 130 pounds of phosphorus to be removed per year through that system. There's some other aspects to the project, that'll be beneficial. We're going to be enhancing the environment with this. There's a planting plan that you see on the, let me see if I can do this thing. No, that's not right. Okay, now I think I got it. Okay, yeah, so this shows what the shoreline will look like, and there's this is just kind of a depiction of the types of plants that you could expect in there. We have 22 different species of plants that are on the list to be put in after the construction is done. And then there's also the neighborhood park, and as Carmelo's explained, the focus really is just to have it serve the people that live right there. You know, it's not meant to be a regional park or anything like that. So this is what the two basically docks will look like that come in from the north and south ends of the lake. And then this is what will be on the end of the dock, kind of a seating area with two benches. So there'll be two of those. And then this is the next couple slides are really just kind of something to give you a visual of, you know, what it might look like when it's done. This is what it'll look like during construction, and it's not pretty during construction. It'll be a lot of dirt everywhere, and you know, it's a major project. But once it's done, you know, and over time as those plants come in, it'll transform into, you know, something that looks very nice. So that's really a rundown. At this point, I guess we can open it up for questions.
What's the target date for completion?
Well, really the start date, I guess, let's just focus on that one. We've gone for some grants, and depending on that and how budgeting shakes out, we are hopeful maybe starting towards the beginning of next year. So maybe sometime January, February of 2023. I'm not sure how long it'll take, if significant dirt that needs to get moved through there. But I don't know, what do you think, John? Maybe 6, 8 months?
I was going to say 8 to 10.
8 to 10 months. So it's gonna take a while. We're gonna be seeing
A year.
Probably
Yeah.
8 months to a year.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question. I was not here for the first meeting. I didn't get a notice. I don't know how many my neighbors got. But I'd like to know, can someone summarize what happened in the first meeting? Because I just heard there were 4 boardwalks that were proposed and now it was reduced. Was there a problem? Why was it reduced?
Well, it wasn't a problem. It was, you know, with municipalities, as you probably know, money is always an issue, right? So how are we gonna pay for that? Who's gonna maintain it? You know, the more you add, the more you have to.
Yes.
Take care of it. We came out to a happy medium of 2.
And there were some concerns about having paths and drawing too much of the public in behind your homes, so that's one of the
Okay, well,
reasons.
my question is because one of those boardwalks is gonna be in front of my place. In front of my
One of the
property.
boardwalks. Now, there won't be parking, right? There,
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Because last time we discussed parking.
we talked about it. I brought it up. The consensus from what I have gathered among other departments is that they want to discourage. This is not a regional park. They don't want a lot of traffic.
You're still gonna have people coming.
Right. Well, they're not going to be very thrilled to not have anywhere to park. It'll definitely discourage people.
My concern last 2 years ago when I spoke about the parking is I am at one of those main entrances, okay? And what's gonna happen is, what if somebody in the L section 2 blocks down parks their car in the swell? Now, in front of my yard. Now, just told me, the swell will be fine, but in 5 years from now, if we're trying to pertain a water problem here, that much pressure tonnage of cars being parked both daily or maybe once a week in front of my house will eventually erode the swell in front of my home. Now, I can't even get the city to fix that. So does that mean in 5 years from now when it goes bad, because you didn't consider parking, or who's gonna fix it? That's, you know, and in front of my house, I would like to see where your pathways are going. I wanna see either a 5-foot barrier of either a fence, some kind of 6-foot arborvitae, something. Because that is not fair to the other people on both sides that have their homes and paid a lot of money. And then you're gonna allow whoever, don't tell me it's just for my little area, you're gonna stop people, anybody can come. And then they're gonna walk right through. So I'm gonna be picking up all their trash, okay? I already pick up trash. So now my concern is, this is what was proposed 2 years ago. What is being proposed to stop that for now?
To stop,
That
which
to
one you
stop the
mentioned?
problem, because now you're saying no parking. You're taking away the swells, okay, so what's gonna happen? What's your plan?
Well, the swales can be fixed.
Okay,
Are you signed up with Palm Coast Connect?
yes, I am.
Okay, so you can create cases and they do address those now.
Yes, sir, I have talked to, and I spoke to him every 6 months, and we have email confirmation, okay? So I do kind of know what's going on since the last meeting.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get at is there are ways that, you know, if the swell's getting impeded, if there's water being held up, it's not gonna, you know, completely derail this whole thing. We can go in there and clean it up, you know. There are mechanisms that we can go and provide maintenance for the swales. We are planning on doing some tree planting along these areas there.
Okay, for the hill over, okay.
Yeah,
On the
so,
home side?
which would help, yeah. One of the goals was also to try to limit, how much room so that to discourage kayaks or something like that going through those open areas by the boardwalk.
Yeah, last time it was to be also a water park for kayaks, and now we're not at the kayak thing now?
Because they have no way to park the cars to get them in there.
It's being discouraged.
Okay, my question is, the 5 entrances was owned by KB Homes, which the city bought, okay? Now my question is,
They did not buy it.
They did not buy it?
Katie Homes donated that.
Donated it?
The city
Yes,
applied
Thank you, I did
excuse
not
me a
know
minute.
that. I
They
did not know
donated
that.
for a passive park, not water management.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, I did not know that. So that can be pretty big, it's not enough to build a home on. But if you clear that whole path in front of my home, oh yeah, we're looking at a big empty, I mean, wide, you can get a car into it.
You're talking about the entrances next to your house.
Yes, the
basically,
5
the
entrances
walkways.
that
I mean,
are on the waterway here.
We can provide some screening along the edges of the property lines now.
That's what I'm asking for, is
Yeah,
screening.
we are planning on some landscaping there. Now mind you, a lot of those entrances were meant to be right away, so it could have been a whole lot more open if there was a road going through there, but,
That's true.
you know, so this will be a little bit less intrusive than an actual road.
Is there another park similar to this one in another area?
No.
And
This
it's not,
is,
This is
one of
not
a,
a park.
one
it
of
was
a
never
kind.
intended to be developed as a park, but it's for flood protection
See?
and water treatment.
It's not a
So-
park. It's
so
not
part-
being what it was
So
donated.
part of what we were
for.
trying to accomplish in combination with doing the flood protection is to create sort of a passive park, do some nice planting, something that serves as more of a natural habitat, so rather than just a big pond.
Okay, another question, because a friend of mine does work for the mosquito district. Also, they don't have enough funds to do with the Sawmill Creek, which we all pay for their mosquito, okay? Now, when you bring in this much water, have you talked to them about, do they have the funding to provide for the spray, for the water, for the mosquitoes and so forth? Or are the people just gonna be with stagnant water?
I understand the design. We looked at having the water not be stagnant.
Okay.
And there's, you know, with the pipes, the water should
Yeah, I know about the pipes,
should be
okay.
moving, and, I think we were going to add what do you call it, those little fountains, we were gonna add.
Oh, a fountain, okay, that'll help with the
I
water.
think
We
at
were
the
gonna
very
add
least.
an electric service.
Water movement.
At the very least, we need a.
You have to have aerators in there, or we'll have bugs, well, we're gonna have everything in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was part of the design, that was something that we did talk about with parks.
Are you gonna stock fish in it to keep it clean?
I'm not sure, but that might be a good idea. We're still kind of deciding. Granted, we're still 75% it's in the plan, so this is not all.
Regarding the parking, you guys can always put no parking, no sign that say no standing, no parking, to deter that, right?
Yeah.
Well, what we're trying to do is deter it through the design and through landscaping rather than having to put signage up.
So there's a problem with putting up signs?
Not necessarily, just felt like, you know, generally people prefer the landscaping and natural.
Absolutely, but, yeah, okay.
Well, we can't put a no parking on the swale because then that could affect someone's guests coming in, right?
Right.
So if you have guests coming in, we have a no parking sign on your swale, that doesn't bode very well, right? So you can't really have it, you can't have it both ways and say no one can park here or only people that are visiting can park here. It just becomes too complicated.
Have you ever gone over to the canal that's already there on a daily basis and watch how many people park there, fish there, and come there? The kids that are there throw the trash and they don't live in our neighborhood. Do you think it's gonna be any different here? They'll find that it exists and they will come.
Mhm.
No, it's part of it, right? I mean, other canals, I don't go there very often because I live in the
I'm
W
talking
section.
London Canal, which is supposed to hook up to us.
Yeah.
You're
It's
right,
like
right.
over
Yes.
the street.
Yes, all the canals throughout the city, people fishing them, and I do see cars parked
We're
there.
talking people, you're saying people aren't going to know about this and aren't going to come, but they do every single day.
I understand, we're not saying that they're not going to come, what we're saying is we're trying to discourage them from coming if they have nowhere to park. It's the best I can do. Listen, we're trying to create a drainage improvement project.
It's supposed to be
And
Bassett
as
Park.
part of it, it would be a nice idea for something to be a passive park, something that the neighbors immediately there can see, they can go to the docks. There's a lot of potential good stuff with it, you know.
It's not.
I think
I have
people
another
keep in mind
question.
that it's for flood protection, it's to create additional storage protection from flooding next time we have a hurricane.
What happens when that
It
flood
has to.
protection goes up and goes into our houses?
I don't.
Your insurance
what-
will now
what's
go
the question?
from zone X to either.
Oh, there you go, now I'm gonna have to pay for flood
Okay.
insurance.
I already asked my insurance all about this.
I'm sorry, two
Oh,
people
your
are
insurance.
talking at once, but it's not gonna flood your house, you do not have to pay for flood insurance.
If you're thinking it's gonna make it worse, it's actually gonna improve the situation, it's the
What
opposite.
situation? That's what I wanna know.
There's no
The
problem now.
canal has never flooded, it's never been full.
Perhaps where you live at, it hasn't. This canal goes a long way, and other people do experience flood issues. Roads do experience flood issues. This helps out the city as a whole, not just the entire neighborhood.
Do you have a blow up of this map that I'm looking at? Like, I can't honestly see it till I walk over, but is there something you could show up here?
I don't know if we can zoom into one of the
Well, we
ones
have it
there.
on here, but it's probably easiest to see it on
If you
that.
give me your email, I'll be glad to send it to you, send you a PDF electronically, zoom in as far as you can.
Last time we
Y'all
had a
have
meeting.
skirted the issue. The issue is if this land is not for water management, it is for a passive park, and there are covenants and restrictions on it. Did y'all even look at those?
That's news to me, that I've
Oh,
not.
it's not news, it exists. I'm an original homeowner and so is she. Not bought from somebody to somebody. That is a restricted area.
That is not part of the golf course area, this is
No,
just
ma'am,
ITT.
no, I'm
land.
talking this land behind my house.
Well, I'll be glad to talk after the meeting, and maybe you have something you can share with me, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of that. Ma'am,
Everybody should be concerned.
Okay, when I purchased the home that I'm in now, they told me that was a reserve. I'm sorry, I'm having dental work done right now. It was a reserve, and that there would never be homes behind us. So,
Actually,
now, this is something, and I heard you mention about wildlife, when you were talking at first. All those trees that are back there, all those woods that are back there, you're gonna take, is that gonna be removed? Are you getting ready to take all the trees out?
a portion, a good portion of it.
There'll be a buffer around,
Now, my backyard, I have it fenced off, but I can go around the back of the fence and I'm right there in the woods. So, would I be able to make my personal path through?
You probably can, there's gonna be a buffer left behind those properties.
How much is that buffer?
You're right.
20,
it varies.
yeah.
in
It
width
varies,
from
the
minimum of 10 to maybe 30 or so, but it depends on where you are.
I see my house and it looks like 2 bushes.
It might be narrow.
And
my house.
I want
It's on
30
my
feet.
back door.
So what do I have to do to get that? Because I bought my house for that reason. It was the privacy. It was the quiet. I think I undo that.
it's gonna be pretty
Once that
private
is
and
taken
quiet.
down, I can tell you, because I'm an original owner, been here 20 years, I could see from my house on Lever all the way to everybody on London, I could see your houses, your lights, and all of your back gardens.
Yeah. You guys don't live there.
Yeah.
I moved from the city in Connecticut, and I came here, and it's pitch black, it's quiet, all the neighbors, I mean, Susie's across the street, our other neighbor who's on oxygen bakes for me every single week. This neighborhood is amazing. It's pitch black at night, there's stars, I mean, that area that you guys are gonna rip up is full of wildlife.
Yes.
There are birds that sing at different times of the day that I can pick their sound out, and you guys are gonna go in and rip all of that out.
Right.
It's, I mean, 5:30 at night, I'm cooking dinner, and there's one bird song. And you're gonna take all of that out, and you're gonna take all of that privacy out. And I understand the city's need for drainage, but I feel like it's bigger than that. It's not drainage, it's improvement for other building that needs to be done in the area.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's not improvement for anyone else.
This is not associated with
Are
any.
you sure that doesn't have something?
So why not leave well enough alone?
I mean, we have 200 homes being built on the golf course, and if you raise the map even higher, you will see where the drainage goes into Lakeview and goes back through here, and it does connect into this, even though that developer has retention pond. So is this also for him to benefit as a retention? Because this is also gonna cause more water, because the swells weren't maintained on the golf course at all. And we've dealt with that for 5 years. So now you're telling me this is gonna be able to hold all this?
Yes.
Plus the 200 homes that are being built?
No.
That are running right, okay, no.
No, those homes are not intended to go here. They're building their
Well,
own
then how
house.
come the drainage is showing on developers' maps? When we see them, it is showing that where it's being built on London and Lakeview, okay? And it's on different tracks, okay? When you look at that and you connect their drainage and their maps for their runoffs, it goes directly on Lakeview, where that big, huge, when I walk that sidewalk every day, you have drainage on both sides.
They are not connected. That development and this is not connected. You're getting 2 and 2 and you're getting 5. They're not related at all.
Okay, so it's not gonna be connected into
At
this
all.
drainage system.
At all.
Okay. Also, at the meeting 2 years ago, you had suggested, because you didn't have enough money, when I asked you when you were gonna remove all the dirt, my question was, are you still gonna continue that? You were gonna sell off the dirt, or are you gonna give it to the developer that he can put on his golf course? Because it's cheaper to transport the dirt and dump it right there versus for the city to take it out.
We're not giving it to them. We're gonna use it for ourselves.
Okay, so you are, okay. I was just wondering if it still stayed the same from last time on that.
Yeah, no, so we're not gonna sell it. Selling it becomes problematic too. There's a lot of legal issues. You gotta set it out to bid. But, you know, the city does have a plan of a public works facility within the next 4 or 5 years
Right?
on US 1, maybe you've heard of it.
I know where it's at, yeah.
So it's probably just a mile or two from this site. We're actually gonna move it to that future facility because they're gonna need a lot of dirt. So it became a, you know, a plus, a win-win situation for both of those projects.
Okay.
So it's just gonna come out of here and it's gonna get hauled off to another city facility, not selling it or not giving it to anyone.
Okay, so it's different, okay.
Yeah, the project evolves, you know, it.
Oh, I know, I
you
just
know,
wanted to know, because I was told in 2021 by the gentleman that I keep in contact with, that this was to start in January of 2022, but it has not, due to the funding of the city. You only had enough money saved to pay for the plans, and for somebody, a corporation to come in and, you know, design and do it. You don't have the funds technically to pay for this now. So you're telling me now 2023, so are we saving all the money from the city in a fund from like 22 to 23 to pay for this? Or grants? Because when I went to the library, we did get grants, but I can tell you, it's not enough to cover everything.
If not, I wish it was.
So how much money is the grant giving you to justify for the price of what you're putting in on this?
It hasn't been defined yet.
Okay.
It's a cost sharing type of thing. It's with the water management district. Is it like 25, 75% share? So that is still being,
Worked on?
worked on, yeah, but it's not gonna cover the whole thing, so
Right.
we're going after some other means of money. There's CARES Act, there's other ways of, you know, funding projects.
Okay.
So that is still in the works, but also one of your questions was, are we carrying money from this year to next year? I wish that was the case, but I can't do that. It's kind of like use it now or next year you're not gonna get that money again. You know,
Right.
You're not gonna get more next year. It won't
Yeah,
work out.
grants worked, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are the construction access points that are gonna be where the boardwalks are?
That's a good question. We haven't got that far yet.
Well,
Wow.
there's 6 ways they can get in and out during construction. So there's let's see. So you see there's an east side and a west side, and then there's 2 on the north and then 2 on the south.
So it'll be one of those, it won't be through someone's property, but if we just don't know which one quite yet, you know? And it's still a moving target because we're trying to find a way to limit how much impact we have to the roads. So we're getting there, it's just, we're not quite there yet. It'll be one of those, that's the best.
The east and west ones will probably be the
Yeah,
most used because that's where the pipes are being.
that's where the pipes will be placed in, yeah.
What measures have been taken, obviously, if you're gonna clear all this out for construction, what measures have been taken to, one, relocate the wildlife that are in there and protect the community? There's a massive snake problem in there. So, $1,000 later, last summer, my dog got into it with a pygmy rattler. Yeah, and I've seen cottonmouths in my neighborhood, I've seen one after the other, so, and I'm mostly fenced. So I'm looking at ching, 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 when you guys start going in there and ripping stuff out, what's that gonna mean for my family? So what are you gonna do to mitigate the risk for the neighbors that live there? I mean, I'm not asking you to pay my vet bills, but you have to recognize there's gonna be vermin and other stuff that we're gonna have to deal with from ripping all this out. What's the plan for that? And if there's not a plan, we need to make a plan.
We, any protected species that we dealt with will be relocated and,
And I respect the protected, but the vermin.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring your dog over if you want, and he can run around in my yard while you're doing this, just to see how it's all gonna work out, but this is a real concern for us that live there.
Have you checked the laws that, we're talking the United States, there's a lot of federal laws about protecting the animals, and there are quite a few that live on the golf course. I live on the golf course. So do you, also I can tell you, we had the developer, okay, on some of it it's inaccurate, but he had to hire someone to go in as a wildlife, and they had to go and look all through everywhere before he can even consider going further. Because I can guarantee you, you have all different kinds of animals over in there. And if you start digging up without thinking twice about it, first of all, I have 5 American alligators. Those are endangered, okay? And as soon as you clear this, I guarantee they're gonna cross the road to go enjoy it, okay? So, there are certain endangered wildlife, okay? Plants, so forth. And somebody actually contacted them to investigate this 40-acre whatever property, because you're not allowed to dig if there's like a gopher turtle, if there's an eagle within 2 miles, okay? So if this hasn't been researched, you're not allowed.
we're very aware, I'm sorry, we're very aware of all that. It does go through a very tedious permitting process with the state, the Fish and Wildlife, every agency you think of has an opportunity to look at it. It's all completely within the rules and regulations, state, federal, local.
Okay, then how come when I go to the website, I go to Post Connect, or when I see these in, how come I am not seeing that as public information offered? Or do I have to write a request as Sunshine Laws to receive if it's been done and by who and when and so forth?
What exactly public information are you asking for?
But you were just saying that the wildlife and you
Like
had the state, the city, so those are documents that should be presented to the public to see on this.
We can certainly share them with you.
Okay, I would like to see these.
Give me your email.
Give us your email.
I have no problem with that, okay.
We'll give you a link to all of it.
I'd be more than happy to read them. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm an engineer as well, and I've done land development before.
Right.
I don't have as much experience as Mike or John, but I've done this for at least 15 years.
Okay.
we're aware of a lot of these regulations you're talking about, and we do dot our i's and cross our t's. We have a lot of that, and we'll be glad to share it with you. The average person doesn't want to see this, they'll just.
I'm concerned because it's my neighborhood, and after 5 years of fighting with the golf course, I read every documentation.
Well, I'll be glad to send it over.
Unbelievable. So I would like, I know not many where I represent 117 through 168 on my section, does not bother to do a daggone thing, okay? But I do, I will, believe it or not, read every single, and I will, if I have questions, I will call you or text you, or help, you know. I would prefer to be in contact with one of you gentlemen, because the gentleman I speak with, I hate to say, he pretty much doesn't communicate at all. So when I call or I send an email, it might be 2-3 weeks later, I'll give him a few, you know, I understand you're busy, and then I'll call again, and then, but, you know, the third time's the charm, okay, kind of concept, and then I do get a hold of him, and he'll give me all the info. So is there a possibility of one of you that I could be contacting on a monthly basis about his work? That I would appreciate. Thank you very much, sir.
Is this a done deal? We're just here to say, hi, bye, this is what we're doing?
It's still in permitting. It is, but I guess with kind of, we're not asking for permission or anything, and it's city-owned property. And whether you believe it or not, this is providing a drainage benefit to the community. Perhaps you don't see it immediately where you're at, but it does.
Are we getting fences? Are you putting a fence around
We're
the backyard?
not putting fences in conjunction with this, no.
So we get nothing except alligators and snakes and things like that are gonna come out of this water into our yards for our pets. Yeah, I know we got snakes, but we don't have alligators right now.
If I lived there, there's other potential benefits too. Suddenly, now you back up to a water, almost a waterfront property.
Something's wrong with me, and then you could this would all be over, this conversation would be done.
My other thing is, you're gonna have all this heavy duty construction equipment coming in.
Yes, it is.
What's gonna happen to our roads? Are you gonna redo them?
It's
gonna tear 'em up.
We're working on the best route to come out of
No,
there.
they're still gonna tear up the roads.
We're in the process of figuring it out.
I mean, just from the houses that are being built and that thing over on Londonderry, the tar is just eaten away.
Yeah, it'll get cleaned up as part of the project, whatever gets damaged, the road, yes.
Well, is that gonna be an active cleanup? So tonight, I had to bring my husband's car here because I got the third nail in my tire in 1 month from going down Londonderry. So that area is not being cared for, whatever they're doing back there.
That's a private subdivision that's happening in Londonderry.
But no one is regulating what, I mean, I now only go down Londonderry when it's absolutely necessary. 3 tires in 1 month.
I think that might be the roofers.
This much of the tar, right? where the
Whatever it
tar
is,
is,
I'm tired, discount tire has got my 401k at this point, so.
Whenever there's a construction happening, those contractors are responsible for cleaning up, and whether it's a big subdivision, a big project like this, or just a single family house, those guys are responsible for cleaning up in front of what they're rolling out.
But who do I go after tonight? Ultimately, it's me.
You can go code, if you drive by and you see it messy, you can go code on them and tell them, hey, listen, these guys need to clean up their stuff, get out there. That is a legitimate thing you can do. You can get a pop-up connect and create a case. I understand what you're saying, and it's a hassle, because you don't want to have to go through that, but it's, unless you let someone know, the city's not gonna miraculously know that it's there, and it's something that they deal with.
I want my tree. It's right behind my lot line in the reserve right now. I've watched it grow for many years. There's a live oak there, and I don't like it tearing it up.
How many feet is this gonna be from their property lines? Since you took out the sidewalks, right? So now we're just gonna have just dirt, grass, and then water then? So how far is that footage-wise?
The buffer, the natural buffer that we're gonna leave from the back properties, is that what?
Yeah, the buffer, like.
Yeah, so, what was it, John, like, it varies between 10, 25
It
feet?
varies from 10 to 30, and in some places it's more than that.
All right, so how do we
From
as
their property
homeowners
line.
say, I want
Okay.
30? What do we have to do to say, I want 30?
We'll go after this, we go point at which one's your house and we'll take a look at
You
it.
have to knock them over.
Well, I don't wanna go to your house, but we could point at the aerial here.
Okay.
No, I didn't mean to point at your house.
No, you can,
Yeah, I have
Let's
some
do this.
questions to
I got a
ask.
question.
Yes, sir.
When you remove the trees, are you gonna burn the trees, or you
Oh,
just
yeah,
gonna,
like, see, go.
just gonna transfer them out?
Supposed to get hold off site, yeah. Hold off site, yeah.
Okay. Now, over behind my backyard, not to mention across the street right in front of me is an entrance, okay? You are doing behind London, down the curve, I can show you. And I have a concern with this, because I understand it's a 48-inch pipe, okay? But what I'm talking about is, when this water flows and comes down here, okay? That's me. Now, okay, first of all, the golf course has been, and it is showing arsenic on it. Okay, that's a guarantee. There are documents showing it. So you're gonna come in here and put your pipes in on Fairway 4, which is actually considered the developer's track 9, okay? So are you gonna remove this arsenic right here just to reach these pipes and cover it up? I understand covering it up. And you're gonna come down here, which is the developer's track 8, which is actually Fairway 3. So what's gonna happen is this arsenic gonna get stirred up to come over into my home, which is right here, as you go to put in your pipes? Is there a solution for that? Is another concern I have right here. And I also see right at the corner of my property is one of those concrete things that you guys said you were gonna do, that at least 2 years ago, you said you were gonna build I call them concrete, I don't know what they are, where it's gonna be where these water, from all this water, come in here, and all up here meets right here at a Y. Okay, and it's gonna come gushing in through to use this.
It's gonna be a pipe, the pipe's gonna go
Right,
straight
it's
into the
48
pond.
inch, I understand
It's
that.
gonna turn, and there's gonna be more pipe turning, and then
Right.
it's going straight into the
And
pond.
you're using the pond.
Yeah, and then likewise on the other end, it's gonna be from all
Okay, so it's gonna be
hydraulically
a-
connected. It's not gonna be surface water running off, it's just gonna go right through. the
Okay,
pond.
because I'm Zone X now, I can tell you what my insurance said, but, okay, now my next concern is because of the golf course situation that most of you probably don't even know anything about. But, when we get in here and we start cutting up the golf course, this is part of the golf course, okay? Right up here. That's fairways 5 and 6, well, actually, by the developer, okay? Then you're gonna come down here, and the developer owns this land right here, okay? And you're running your waterway through here. And then you're gonna water it on the golf course. So this is golf course. There's arsenic. So I would like somebody to please come up with a solution, even if your pipe goes 4 feet down under, or goes 2 feet, I don't care how deep it goes. I wanna know how you're gonna remove the top 6 inches of this layer of dirt. Are you gonna replace it with fresh dirt? How are you gonna transport arsenic? Dirt. If you go into the golf course from Matanza Woods, you will see all the documents. There's like 500 pages to read, okay? And it will explain to you. So if someone could give me a solution for that, because my yard is right behind that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that probably doesn't go that far north like you pointed. We're not doing anything up there right now.
Okay.
My question is, what is this pipe she's talking about?
That's the outfall pipe, so that's what's gonna keep the pond from staging up too high, right? So if the pond is receiving water, there's an outfall pipe that sends it back down to the canal, down through the other property, through an easement that the city has. Across London.
Here's
Yes, Senator
Lever,
Crestline.
the canal that's there existing now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a pipe gonna be there. Where else is there a pipe from that's gonna go to that canal?
So the way the drainage works now, the water, comes down the canal, and then there's that structure there,
Yep.
the big structure. So it goes over that,
Yep.
and then it continues south, and then it goes west.
Yeah.
So our project is it's gonna intercept water out of the canal, come to the new lake, come through the lake, and then go out the west side of it, and then go through that existing golf course pond south, and then go pipe back into the canal. So it's gonna it's gonna take
It's a
another
loop
route,
kind of thing?
but it's gonna end up in the same place that it was. always going.
So it creates additional storage because now the water has more places to
I understand that, I
go.
was just trying to understand the concept of being in the golf course when everybody's saying nothing's coming from the golf course.
But a lot of it just wouldn't happen if they were, we can get into a long discussion, I'll tell you about the golf course, about why we have to have this.
I think we're getting screwed.
Water from the golf course is not going in that direction, it's the other way around, we're sending water that way.
Right, you're sending it down.
Yeah.
What's the anticipated impact on our property taxes from this type of project?
Property value is gonna go through the roof.
Property values might go up if you're now backing up to water.
Yeah, because water is paying on water.
Yep.
It's, I guess that's a double-edged sword, right? Property taxes go up, but so does the value of your house. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what tax is gonna
I
end
think
up
it's
doing.
absolutely paramount that there be the springs in there that are moving water. Because if our property taxes are gonna go up and we're just looking at stacking water.
Why would our taxes go up?
That's an assumption.
Because of the flood.
Why would they go up? They shouldn't.
I don't know if they would or wouldn't. That's, I am a stormwater engineer. I'm not an accountant or in the tax department, so I don't know. There could be a chance the property value
The
goes
city's always
up.
gonna find a way to raise our taxes.
I don't know, you're
But-
talking, you got a lot of retirees over here on our streets, in our neighborhood. Well, yeah, like.
Is there an impact statement that's being done, or was it done, or is there plans to do?
An impact statement with regard to the property values?
No, to the construction.
The project.
To the project.
I don't know, we had to do an environmental assessment plan, and we had, a sub-consultant, right, who did that, but I don't know if we needed to do an impact plan.
Is that,
Say.
is the result of that, is that public? Can we get?
There's no impact statement
No,
for this project.
The environmental assessment is public knowledge, I'll be glad to share that with you all. But no impact, I mean, we did a drainage analysis to make sure that, one, it is not causing an adverse impact, and whether it's causing a benefit, and that is also available to you guys if you want to see it. That's really what we relied on, again, I don't want to keep going back to the well, but this is a drainage improvement project. That was our meat and potatoes, is the drainage report. Is it gonna provide a significant impact to Palm Coast? That's what we really base it on. Everything else is just trying to provide something positive for the neighborhood, because we are going to do this, right? Now, no good deed goes unpunished, then we have to hear from people that not everybody's gonna be thrilled about it, so it's just the way it is.
What happens when KB Homes covenants and restrictions throw the monkey wrench into your project?
That's not gonna happen.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, there's covenants and restrictions, we have to follow them. Did we vote to remove them?
KB Homes doesn't own the property.
They gave you
The city owns the property.
it was donated to the city with restrictions.
We're adhering to all of those restrictions.
Just a minute ago, you said you didn't know nothing about them.
No, I don't think I said that.
No,
Someone else did.
I said I don't think we are violating anything. Then I didn't have a concern.
Think and are two different words.
Yeah, well, the legal department did take a look at this stuff too, so it's not, there's a lot of people that look at it, like I mentioned earlier, other departments have their input too.
Now, earlier I was told that this is gonna be maintained by the parks, is that correct?
The boardwalk portion of it, yeah, they're going to be the ones that maintain it.
Okay, so is there tax money set aside because parks only has so much money a year? Are they putting in, extra to be able to maintain this? Or is the park gonna do their weekly clean the trash, which I don't know what you do for all the parks, I know I will use them, okay? But I have clueless.
Yeah, they're aware of it, so they're gonna have to, plan a way to include this in their routine maintenance. I don't know how their budget works, but they are aware of it. I suspect they are gonna have to put some money aside for it.
Okay, so on certain issues, it sounds like I need to talk to different departments to receive answers for different subjects then, is that correct?
Well, I'm not gonna answer for parks. because I'm
Okay,
not a parks.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I just needed to
But,
know.
and I'll be glad to give you a contact person that you can talk to over there.
Okay, and St. John's Waterway has approved this, correct?
St. John's River Water Management District?
Yeah,
Not yet, we're still in
Not
the
yet.
process of approvals.
okay, because I had them out there and look at it, so I was just wondering if, okay.
Yeah, no, still,
Maybe they need to come back to my little section.
it's still in permitting, yeah.
Okay, still permitted, okay.
I have a question. So you mentioned that kayaking and other types of, things will be discouraged there. What will be prohibited and will signs be posted? What will be allowed? Because I have sons and they might wanna go back there. What's appropriate, what's not? Has that been decided?
I mean, do you really want a lot of signage around this?
No, but if it's, what are the rules for the city? I don't want signs everywhere, but I'd like to follow the rules, and I'd like to know if someone's breaking the rules so I can call the city.
Right, so, you know.
I think this clear disclosure is fair.
Yeah. I mean, the way I view it is the way I view like the canals, right? It's a city maintained waterway, right? So it's fair game in the canals, like you say, people go there, park and fish. They may be able to do it, so now if it's uncomfortable, if it's hard to access it to get there, that's what we talk about discouraging. You know, now if you live there and you back up to it and you just have to walk and cast it in, then that's convenient for you, and it's a positive thing for people that live right there.
I won't complain to that. But it's just the riprap that would come in.
I hear you. So we're not creating parking spaces, we're not inviting it, and that was, point was made to us, and, you know, drilled into us, this is a passive park, it's not a regional park. We're not trying to invite everyone to go out to this.
I just wish there was a better plan for the wildlife that was there.
And, you know, the wildlife will come back, you know, and there's
There's a
gonna be.
family of cardinals that live in my backyard.
there's
I
gonna be a-
can't tell you, I don't, it's just the most beautiful thing. Living where we live is absolutely amazing.
There's gonna be some big pockets that are gonna remain natural, right? The water is gonna attract a lot of, you're gonna be surprised how much more animals are gonna be attracted when there's that much open water in the area. We're currently doing a project over in the east section, a dredging project, I don't know if you're familiar with that one. And that was one of the concerns too, all the animals and this and that. They're already starting to come back. Neighbors have told me, we're already seeing them come back, and they're not even done construction. So the animals will they'll go away for a while during construction, they're not as done as we think. And then eventually they'll come back to it.
Yeah, I think it's hard for a lot of people to visualize the end product, but the end product is going to be very conducive to wildlife.
I just hope my dog's alive at the end. I kid you not. Like,
What?
my dog.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot in that woods.
Well, this was a project we did similar, you know, we constructed it, designed it, constructed it, and we put plantings around the edge, and that's what it looks like after some time. Now, you know, this is a different project, so I can't say it'll look exactly like that, but
I don't want it to look stagnant like that. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I know.
So, you know, during construction, you see a lot of dirt, and there, in this picture, you can see the plantings, the little trees, you know, that went in right after the construction was done. And then over time, you know, everything grows up.
So like, I lived in an HOA before, and we had to actually pay a fortune to dredge these lakes, okay, where I used to live. And that was because of 20 years of overgrowth, nobody taking care of or maintaining, and I'm talking in the millions. So, in the HOA, we all had to pay for it, took 5 years. So is this gonna eventually, you say the parks are gonna maintain, like pick up trash them, but when the flooding and the water comes through, I get it, movement of water helps, but what's gonna cause, say, I'll probably be dead by then, but let's say in 15 years, the dirt, the water, who's gonna come and 15, 20 years, dredge? That they're not even dredging the canals here in Palm Coast as an example, and boats get stuck. I mean, that's part of maintenance. So it's not gonna happen up front, obviously. We're talking down the road. Is money gonna be set aside for when you have to go and start dredging?
Well, this water body is gonna be deep.
Yeah, it's 19
in the middle.
and a half feet, right?
So that's gonna help, as far as, the sediment that does accumulate will settle on the bottom and it's gonna be
Right.
deep, so it's not gonna fill up and, cause cattails to grow and stuff all across it or anything like that.
That's why I said like 20
it's
years.
gonna,
I mean, it will-
it's gonna stay good for a long time.
Okay.
Plus, if you got boats back there, please call us, you shouldn't.
If the water's 20 feet deep, kids are gonna bring canoes and their kayaks, and everybody who lives around that lake is gonna use it for recreation,
Uh-huh.
and that's okay.
So it's a city park,
I'm
and if
just-
I had a 2-year-old and it gets into that lake and drowns, is the city held accountable for that? Because there's no fence or there's no barrier, or is it a city park? Or, because there are neighbors back there with little kids. Now, or who's responsible? Because when I lived in HOA, it's everybody's responsible. But now, is it the city of Palm Coast? Do I come back and I sue you for X amount, my child died? How does this all work? Because you're talking no fences, nothing.
Well, the canals have no fences right now, and people go
Well, the
there
canals-
all the
What are
time.
the effect on the homeowner's insurances?
The canals are deep.
If you go look behind Jim and Gloria's house, you're talking at least 20 feet before you see water.
On the canal. Yeah, deep enough where somebody can drown, right?
No, I'm talking the height of, like,
No,
here's
you're
the
talking about
property
height of the
down the
property
water.
above the canal.
What? Yeah.
That varies across the city, it depends on the topography and the way the land lays.
Will this water rise and fall, or will it stay at constant height?
Well, there's gonna be, small pipes that control the water, and so the water level will stay around the elevation of those pipes most of the time, but when there's a storm, it'll rise up.
Right.
That's kind of how the system's gonna work. It'll rise up fast, and then it'll come back down over a period of days after the storm. Back down to that same level.
If you have any questions after the meeting, again, Carmelo gave out his card, you can always contact us.
If somebody else wants my card, yeah.
Leave your name and email address in there.
Yeah, listen, guys, I can't stress this enough. We really are trying to do a.
Carmelo's cards are here? He has.
We're not in cahoots with a developer, and we're not trying to do anything. We're trying to do a drainage project. We're trying to cross all our T's and dot all our I's, and we are having this meeting to listen to these questions. Some of them are very good, and we will continue to implement some of that stuff. And again, thank you for coming in and expressing this to us. And if you want to add more, feel free to come up here. I think we're just about wrapping it up at 7 o'clock.
Do you plan to have more meetings after this?
I wasn't planning on, but there was a good amount of questions. Maybe there could be a need for one more, or maybe informal phone calls will settle it as we progress, get our information.
Oh, you have our emails now.
And I do have
Get
your
emails.
emails.
Now they do.
Let us know.
Yeah, so if I told you that I was going to email you after the meeting, just come by and just let me know your name so I can write it down. Just make sure that I don't forget, because I am liable to do that.
I guess there's certain things I just realized I can't fight, and they're beyond my control, so how do I go about insisting on 30 feet between my property line?
You wanna go here?
Let's do that.
Now, I'm not guaranteeing it's gonna happen, I just wanna know where you're at.
You're only one man, so, all right, so I have right here. Hi, how are you?